So yes, there's me. I'm Lucy, and I work for ThinkCyber, the Red Flags. And I'm going to be talking around nudge theory today. So we've had a bit of a mention of that in the previous chat. I'm going to talk about this a bit more, what this means, and how you can apply it. So soft nudgers, they are basically a way of making people display the behavior you want them to do without being forceful with it. Based on Thaler and Sunstein's work on this, it's called libertarian paternalistic nudges. What it does, it influences behavior without forcing it, without changing what they need to do or stopping them. It just helps them. And this is quite, as you can sort of probably already think, quite contrasting with the typical methods that we use in security for training. So how do you do it? As we mentioned earlier, we talk about choice architecture. So this is a really good way of changing the world around you. So you're not changing what you're saying to people. You're not saying you have to do this, but it's changing the world around them so it nudges you in the direction you want to be in. And this can be really, really interesting in how you do this. So it doesn't have to be forceful, as I said. It can be, for example, if you want your kids to tidy their room, you don't have to force them into the room and lock the door. Sounds familiar in some cases. But what instead you could do is play a tidy up game. This nudges them to do, oh, I want to do this behavior. Or if you're trying to lose weight, I think like Jabba was saying at the start of the year, you start with all these things. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to really stop eating too much. But what you can do is nudge yourself to the right behavior, and you can count calories by having a smaller plate. So instead of going, I've got a massive plate with nothing on it, you've got a small plate with loads of things on it. Feels great. Or if you need to get up from your desk, I know a lot of us are probably guilty of this, where we sit too long all day and we don't get up, get sore back, sore legs. I definitely have that. Smartwatches now will nudge you and say you've not been active for a while. This is another form of nudge theory and choice architecture for you. And this is really powerful when you incorporate it into what you're already doing. So, for example, when you're at the till in the supermarket, sweet treats or healthy ones, this is setting you up for failure or success. And another example I use is putting my cycling gear beside the bed at the night before. So I get up in the morning and actually put it on and go cycling rather than going, nah, can't be bothered. And the really important aspect of this is you're doing these decisions anyway, you just want to influence it so you're getting the right behavior out of it. So some examples, as we've seen earlier, you can sort of see how these gamify a lot of what we're doing or help people at the point of the behavior, looking left, looking right when you're crossing the road, or possibly influencing you the wrong way when you're crossing the road. So yeah, nudges for good and for bad. So how do you make a good nudge, though? So there's a couple of frameworks I want to cover today, and this helps you in whatever you're doing, particularly if you're working in the security awareness space or policy or any of these areas. You want to think about certain models you can use which will help you make it stick. So one perfect example is the EAST model from the Behavioral Insights team in 2012, and they said there's 4 components that make a good nudge. Has to be easy. Speaks for itself, has to be attractive to do, has to be attractive in how it looks as well. It needs to be social. Is everyone else doing it or are you alone? We are social creatures, we want to go with the crowd. And most importantly, timely. If you're too early or too late, not going to stick as well for you. I also need to think about another model, which is called BMAP. This is BJ Fogg's model, also very similar to COM-B as well, if everyone's ever come across that, which posits you need 3 factors for any behavior to happen: motivation, ability, and prompt. And this changes how people behave when you do it. But what you need to think about is what you start with. The order here is really important, and a lot of the time that's the prompt in itself. What at the point of the behavior you're going to do, what is prompting the behavior in the first place. And this is a really perfect example of that here. So Big McFlurry is already changing how I feel right now and nudging me to think about ice cream. You need to think about what you're doing. You're going to be communicating anyway. You want to make it stick better. To think about EAST, to think about your audience, how you're prompting them, and think about other cognitive biases as well, which no time to go into today, but availability, loss aversion, reciprocity, social norms. And a really good example is the McFlurry, and this was posited by Cialdini. So they managed to make the sales of McFlurries go up by 45% by just employing the EAST model. And what they do, instead of saying, would you like a dessert? The person at the Tilly said, would you like a dessert? And the most popular our location is a McFlurry. This makes it easy for people because they don't need to think. It makes it attractive because, oh, other people like it, so therefore it's social as well, and it's timely. I'm there with my wallet out, I'm ready. So how do we do this in security, though? So we've all seen these. We talked about this ad nauseum today about phishing. So how do you do it? So the behaviors you want when it comes to phishing, for example, is you want people to think before they click, and you want them to report them. But how do you actually get them to do this? It's really hard. People, as Holly was saying, people who are neurodivergent can't look at every single link. They can't read every single email, scrutinize it. They don't have time. People are busy. So how do you get them to do this? So you need to think about, for example, when you got the prompt, making it timely, making it visible to people. Make it easy for people. Don't overcomplicate your messages. Don't make it too hard. Always top and tail your communications with, if nothing else, just report this, please. And motivate them to do it as well. So you can either make it negative, you can threat appraisal style it, you can go, this is a big threat to us, this is what's going to happen, this is a problem, or you can make it social and positive. You can say, you're one of the 4% of people who reported every single phishing simulation, well done you. And everyone goes, how did I be getting the 4%? I want to be in the 4%. But how do you do this when it matters? And this is the real question. This is always the burning question. Having worked in security awareness, it was always the burning question. And behavioral science and our own research see that the sweet spot is what we want to be going after. So we've got our context. So I'm in work in front of my Outlook. I've got an email, and I've gone to click on the link. What you can get is the e-learning videos, your traditional training styles. Too soon. You do it once a year. After 20 minutes or so, you've forgotten most of it. That's not going to help you when you get a phishing email. Or it's too late. I think as Javid said, we punish people with training 2 weeks after the fact. We send them an email and said, you clicked on a link on an email that you probably can't remember 2 weeks ago. You're going to have to do more training and just learn your lesson. So instead, what we want to do is we want to prime them before. You want to get the idea into their head, and you want to do that regularly so that people aren't forgetting it. You want to make it digestible for them. You don't want to force them, but you just want to say, look, this is why this matters to us. And then you intervene just in time at the point the behavior is going to happen. And that just helps you with that timeliness, not over the top, not nagging, not forcing. And this is what we're doing. So I'm just going to run through quickly a little bit of how this works. So for example, we have our priming, which is our stories. These are very short. They cover the topic, covering all sorts of threat-led and more standard topics. And these set people to go, yes, I understand why for my business this matters. But then you can actually get into the nudging, timeliness, just-in-time work as well. So for example, this is a typical email I've got. Possibly looks like phishing. And then what it does is you're about to go, oh, maybe I'll click the link. You get that little nudge. This doesn't stop me clicking the link. All it does is it switches me from what you call system 1 thinking, which is your sort of irrational, I'm hungry, I'm tired, I just need to get work done, to system 2, which is deliberate thinking. It doesn't stop me clicking the link, it just switches my behavior before I go. And it's the same for things like this, typical emails, and I go, oh, I click the link, I'm going to start logging in. And again, it doesn't stop me, but it's like Java was saying, it's just enough to switch my behavior at that point and go, oh, I might put my credentials in, I might just lose them doing this. You can do it for all sorts of use cases as well. So you can just gently nudge people, gently educate throughout the year without making them sit down and do hours of training at a time, because let's face it, nobody's got time for that now. So you can keep going, you can do it on risky websites as well. We all love ChatGPT at the minute, but also then you can measure it. And the measuring is the bit that I'm finding really fascinating, hence the analytics part of my job, is that you want to look at what people are doing and how their behavior changes over time. And this is an example graph, how you can see when we started intervening with nudges, we saw a decrease in behavior of 59.1% in link clicking. And this is not me forcing them or hitting them or saying, oh, you can't be doing this and making their life misery. It's just reminding them gently. And that really nice thing about that measurable side is it helps you demonstrate as well what you're doing. It helps you go, actually, we are changing behavior, because I know as an ex-practitioner, well, still a practitioner as of 6 months ago, that I was finding it really hard to demonstrate what I was doing was having an effect. I'm finding it really hard to say, well, I've put a message out via internal comms, and I don't know if people are going to change their behaviour as a result. I just know that people have read it. Have they done anything differently? Not sure. So, final observations. People don't always make rational decisions. I think we all know this. Whether it comes to McFlurries or clicking on links, we're all a little bit irrational. Apart from me, I'm wonderful. Nudging is about choice architecture. It's about changing the world around them so that it becomes easy to do the behavior and attractive to do the behavior. Got some simple models here. You probably want to go and look them up afterwards. They're fantastic models. I also really thoroughly recommend COMB, C-O-M-B, other excellent model for behavioral change. And you need to think about the really basic fundamental points, particularly when it comes to security, because we are very time-bound. We've all worked on incidents in here. We all know that every minute counts when it comes to an incident. So you need to think about timeliness and context and when you're delivering messages to people. So these real-time interventions should be about supporting people, though. It shouldn't be nagging them. I'm not going to make their life awful. Low friction. I want to make it nice for them. Make it measurable, because we all need to demonstrate we're having an effect. We need to show that, yes, I'm doing a wonderful job, CISO. Please let me keep going. And just to top and tail it, that allows red flags. We allow you to offer that nudge, that tap on the shoulders, just to say, do you want to really be doing that? And just measurably change behavior without making life an absolute nightmare for people. So I think I've actually given us back some time as well. Look at us go. So if you want to ask us a question, we're on stand 6 in the other room. Please do come say hello and ask any questions.